up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to be.
What's up everybody, welcome to another camera comparison video. Today I have this Realme GT Neo 3 and Redmi K50 Pro. This is gonna be a very interesting camera comparison video. Something like ride on a roller coaster? Maybe. Realme GT Neo 3 comes with a flagship main sensor, Sony IMX766 50 megapixel sensor. But Redmi K50 Pro comes with a mid-range Samsung ISOCELL HM208 megapixel sensor. Both of these two devices got OIS tagged to their main sensors. Redmi K50 Pro has a better ISP cause it comes with MediaTek Dimensity 9000 and Realme GT Neo 3 comes with MediaTek Dimensity 8100. But there is a very important factor in camera performance, that's stock camera algorithm. I have taken all the photos in auto mode cause most of the general users uses auto mode. AI was disabled and HDR was set to auto. Before we start the comparison, you need to know this Realme GT Neo 3 is going to be released in global market as OnePlus 10R. Okay, before we start the video, a few moments for the sponsor of this video, Pitaka protective cases. Yeah, I have been using these for almost 3 years from Samsung Galaxy S20 series. I'm not just making a story that I have been using Pitaka protective cases for a long time. From Samsung Galaxy S20 series to S21 and now with my S22. Yeah, I always use Pitaka protective cases on all of my Samsung and iPhone smartphones. If you're looking for the best, then Pitaka is the one. What's up everybody, welcome to another camera comparison video. Today I have this Redmi K50 Pro and Realme GT Neo 3. Realme GT Neo 3 comes with Snapdragon. No! Realme GT Neo 3 comes with Dimensity 8100 SoC. And Redmi K50 Pro comes with Snapdragon. No! MediaTek Dimensity 9000 SoC. Okay, check carefully which smartphone has wider dynamic range, better color rendition, better exposure. Which one has rendered my skin tone correctly? Both has done well, really. I think a Realme GT Neo 3 has done a bit better. Yeah, I know you wanna check stabilization, so it's time to run, right? Let me run and check stabilization. Weather is getting warm. It's spring. Almost summer, but still a bit cold. Do you see the difference? Realme GT Neo 3 has done slightly better. Well, also listen carefully which smartphone microphone has performed better. Check everything and then make a comment. Let me know in the comment section below which smartphone selfie camera do you prefer. Before we start the video, one more thing. None of these brands have sent me with any review units. I had to buy these smartphones, so I had to spend a lot of money, and yeah, it's hard work to put a camera comparison video together. And the last 2 weeks we have been in a lockdown, so it was really very difficult. If you end up liking this video, then please take a little time, click on the like button, and if you find this video helpful, then please subscribe to this channel, support true content. Well, it's time to start our camera comparison between Redmi K50 Pro and Realme GT Neo 3. A lot of people do camera comparison videos without a single photo of a human subject. I don't like the idea. To me, human photography is important. In human photography, 6 things are very important: exposure, detail, skin tone, color rendition, white balance, and focus metering. I don't have any complaint about exposure and focus metering because both have performed similarly. But white balance and color rendition is different. Realme has a bit warm tone and slight saturation. Actually, Realme has managed to optimize its stock camera algorithm. It has almost true to life skin tone, eye-catching yet natural color rendition, extensive detail, flagship class synthetic processing, sharp textures, and more shadow detail. Okay, let me crop in. I have marked the points of interest. If you check carefully, then you will notice Redmi has added beautification. There is almost no detail on the subject, textures are a bit softer than Realme, skin tone is also a bit fairer than what it is in reality. If Realme GT Neo 3 can extract such a great performance from this Sony IMX766 with a Dimensity 8100, then Redmi K50 Pro should be able to get something better from its ISOCELL HM2 with Dimensity 9000. I wish Redmi will spend some time and energy to optimize and improvise its camera performance. None of these two smartphones comes with a telephoto lens. That means both of these two smartphones have to depend on their main sensor to take portrait photos. Have you noticed the differences? Once we have activated portrait mode, Redmi K50 Pro has increased color temperature and saturation, Realme has increased highlights and dropped saturation. Portrait photos are not the same as human subject photos taken in auto mode. Nevertheless, Realme has continued to grab more detail on the subject, better texture processing, wider dynamic range and well-balanced contrast ratio. Altogether, Realme GT Neo 3 is ready to compete with camera-centric smartphones. As a matter of fact, this Redmi has actually done better in portrait mode than many other Xiaomi and Redmi smartphones. It has almost correct skin tone, very good color rendition, but due to poor edge detection, edge cutouts, separation between subject and background, Redmi falls behind. I think this Realme is super optimized because this is going to be released as OnePlus 10R in some markets. So the whole BBK team may have worked together to get the best out of it. I forgot to mention bokeh effect is almost similar. Both have applied creamy bokeh without creating a huge difference between the subject and the background. These video clips were recorded in 4K 30 frames per second. I was curious to see what can these smartphones do with OIS. I think Realme GT Neo 3 has better stabilization along with superb exposure, realistic color rendition and almost correct skin tone. I'm a bit frustrated with this Redmi K50 Pro cause Dimensity 9000 actually has a way better ISP than Dimensity 8100. Anyway, another segment and one more time Realme GT Neo 3 with a better sensor and better optimization has performed beyond my expectation. But don't just give up, Redmi may have kept their ace of spades for low light, nighttime photos and videos.
Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny.
I believe indoor photos are the most important part of mid-range smartphones camera comparison, cause most of the mid-range smartphones struggles in indoor low-light environment. You will notice it very easily if you try to take pictures in different lighting conditions. Mid-range smartphones will always struggle to reproduce photos with natural white balance and perfect color tone. You will always find a few differences in mid-range smartphones. I have tried hard to get the best out of these two smartphones. Both the Redmi K50 Pro and Realme GT Neo 3 has done good with focus metering, exposure management and brightness, but GT Neo 3 has better color grading, better highlights and contrast. Not only that, if we crop in, then we can clearly see GT Neo 3 has grabbed more detail, processed textures with clarity. It's neither too sharp nor too soft, while Redmi has just failed to compete. Most of the time, saturation, shadow and dynamic range is very similar, but white balance jumps back and forth. Sometimes Realme GT Neo 3 has processed photos with very warm tone, but in general, GT Neo 3 has done far better than Redmi K50 Pro. Mommy, Kolai. Kolai, Peso. Don't go, come. I'm not gonna hurt you. Hello. Okay, I'm leaving. Okay. Before we talk about night mode photos, I want to show you why do I never record 4K videos in low light with a mid-range smartphone. It's easy and simple. Mid-range smartphones doesn't perform well. If I have to select a better one among these two, then I think it will go down to personal preference. Redmi has managed to brighten up the images, but not without any trade-off. K50 Pro has more noise and grains, more judders and jitteriness, while Realme has processed the video with much better definition and contrast. But once again, there is a trade-off. GT Neo 3 has compensated brightness and shadow detail. These photos were taken in night mode of both these smartphones. In comparison with other mid-range smartphones, it was easy to get steady shots with these two. I always recommend all of my viewers and subscribers buy a smartphone that comes with OIS, cause sometimes that matters the most. After cropping in, it should be easy for you to understand. Both have actually performed better than any other smartphones within this segment. But due to difference in algorithm and processing, results are different. Sometimes Redmi K50 Pro has performed better and sometimes Realme GT Neo 3 has performed better. Sony IMX766 has better shutter speed and that helped Realme a lot to get better shot in most of the photos. Check the amount of detail, exposure and contrast. Realme GT Neo 3 has done better. I know sometimes colors and white balance are not on the perfect line, those are down to personal preference and sometimes can be edited. But you cannot add detail, you cannot add clarity and definition. My subscribers and regular viewers, they know about this. Detail, exposure, noise and shadow. After checking tons of night mode photos, it is clear that Realme GT Neo 3 has done better in low light. Detail, exposure, noise and shadow, everything is better. This GT Neo 3 is actually OnePlus 10R and it has all the attributes of a OnePlus smartphone in camera algorithm. I think it's very difficult to accept this type of selfie performance from an upper mid-range or budget flagship. Redmi K50 Pro selfie performance is way worse than Realme GT Neo 3. Realme has done really better. Wider dynamic range, better exposure, textures with more definition, better contrast and more detail. I think this is the first BBK smartphone that has managed to make me satisfied with selfie performance. What's your thought on this? Okay, it's time for ultra-wide photos. Both comes with 8 megapixel sensor for ultra-wide photos. So you cannot expect anything amazing, but I'm surprised to see how Realme GT Neo 3 has processed the photos. It has OnePlus type magenta cast and obviously it has added way too much synthetic processing. Dynamic range, color rendition, details, textures, exposure, in every segment, everywhere. It is better on Realme GT Neo 3. Sometimes K50 Pro came close, but most of the time ultra-wide performance of Realme GT Neo 3 is better than Redmi K50 Pro. If we do some heavy pixel peeping, then we can see Realme has sharper textures while Redmi kept it soft. Realme has slight more shadow detail while contrast is higher in Redmi photos. Redmi K50 Pro kept the tone warm and Realme GT Neo 3 has managed to balance color temperature close to natural. Redmi K50 Pro has also increased saturation while Realme GT Neo 3 rendered colors that is close to reality yet gives a vivid, vibrant and eye-pleasing vibe. Daytime image quality of most of the high-end mid-range and budget flagships are becoming better and better. The results here are surprisingly amazing. Especially Realme GT Neo 3 performance is top-notch. Considering the fact that Redmi K50 Pro comes with a better SoC and better ISP, I think K50 Pro has failed mainly due to the sensor and its stock camera algorithm. I have mentioned earlier, all the photos are taken in auto mode and AI was enabled. Realme has tried something different in their algorithm. Even if AI was disabled, there is way too much artificial processing. Redmi K50 Pro has continued to process photos with warm color temperature, high contrast and low shadow. Realme GT Neo 3 has added magenta cast in some occasions, rendered colors with eye-pleasing tone, yet kept it close to reality. Usually the differences are clearly visible, but sometimes I really had to heavily crop in and do some pixel peeping to find differences. When I have compared Redmi K50 Pro with Xiaomi 11T Pro, I didn't notice, but now it's clearly visible. Redmi K50 Pro sometimes have this highlight clipping issue. GT Neo 3 has better dynamic range, better shadow detail, better exposure, balanced sharpening, efficient focus metering, and better color tone mapping. As none of the Realme GT Neo 3 and Redmi K50 Pro comes with any telephoto lens, both depends on the main sensor, but having optical image stabilization helps, especially while taking 5 times or 10 times zoom photos. In 2 times zoom photos, the differences are minimum. The differences are mostly preferential, but once we punch into 5 times zoom, Redmi K50 Pro starts to fall behind Realme GT Neo 3. Let me crop in. This may help us to understand the differences. The things are actually similar to the main sensor photos cause all the zoom photos are taken with the main sensor. Realme GT Neo 3 has processed more detail with sharp textures, higher shadow, better exposure, wider dynamic range. Redmi K50 Pro is tottering behind this Realme GT Neo 3.
If I can just think carefully, I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind, I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed.
Every time people ask me or push me to compare 4K 60 frames per second video of budget and mid-range smartphones, I feel sad, and I cannot lie, I feel crazy. When will these brands actually offer something to make the end users happy with 4K 60 frames per second performance? Also, dear viewers, you gotta understand, you get what you pay for. There is no magic and there is no freebies. After comparing these 4K 60 frames per second video clips for hours, I'm ready to select Redmi K50 Pro. It has done better, I think mainly due to its better ISP. But Realme GT Neo 3 has also done well enough. Time for verdict. My winner is Realme GT Neo 3. This is a rebranded version of OnePlus 10R or vice versa. I am frustrated cause Dimensity 9000 has a way better ISP than Dimensity 8100. Which one do you prefer? Please don't forget to make a comment and share your thoughts and ideas in the comment section below. If you have liked this video, then please don't forget to click on the like button and please subscribe to this channel. Support true content.
Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed.